If you want to blow up your business and generate more consistent leads and sales, you need to stop creating content. Dedicating your entire life to becoming a full-time content creator is a complete waste of time for busy entrepreneurs. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to use live content to grow your business and brand with only a fraction of the time and effort and stress you're used to. Yesterday, I saw a video from a Instagram guru guy, and he was talking about if you treat content creation like a full-time job, and you take 8 hours a day, and in those every hour you can create 2 videos, and 2 videos an hour for 8 hours a day. That's 16 videos a day for 7 days a week for 30 days, and kept going. You get the point, right? You'll be able to make a lot of content. You'll be able to grow your business, and that's true. But who has time for that? If you're a business owner, you don't have 8 hours a day. You probably don't even have time every day to create content. So you have to kind of condense the way that you're creating to allow you to get that volume that you're looking for. Most advice that you hear out there about content is BS, because it's made by people who will tell you to do something that's completely unrealistic for your business, and they don't see it as unrealistic because they can do it, but their business is doing the thing. So it doesn't apply to you if you actually have other responsibilities in your business. And I tell that story to tell you, yes, value is important, and yes, that is true. If you create 16 reels a day, you're going to have enough content to grow your business. But your business will most likely burn in the meantime. What you need to do as an entrepreneur who's trying to grow a business and not just a brand, a personal brand, is that you have to find a way to tick off multiple boxes with one action. You have to find leverage in the way that you do things. So if you look at this beautiful illustration right here, we have what I call the 2 birds, 1 stone approach. And by the way, YouTube, I don't condone violence against birds. These are merely illustrations. Now, if you think about leverage, it is about how much you put in versus how much you get out. And most people didn't get into business for content. So they're not necessarily looking to do the most amount of content. They're just looking to grow their business. So why not stack up the way you create content in a way that's going to allow you to knock off 2 birds right here with 1 stone? Most people do the opposite because they don't even think about it. They spend time as themselves, as the business owner, looking for the right stone, looking for the right spot to stand, finding a place where they can knock off a bird, then doing the same thing for the next stone, for the next bird, and just repeat that cycle all over again. And that's why they feel like they never have enough time to create enough content to grow consistently. So how do we actually fix this? I think most people now have seen the takeover of live content. And the reason why I'm such a big component of live content is because it allows you to hit 2 birds with 1 stone. Because what are we looking for when we're creating content? We want to grow your sales and you want to grow your influence. You want to expand your platforms. So when you go live, right, there's 2 aspects to it. Just like there's 2 birds, but it's only 1 stone. This is the stone. Live is the stone. But the one aspect of going live is that you obviously have the opportunity to get sales. Just like when you're on a webinar, if you have live attention from your audience, from potential customers, you can convert them. You can get them to enter your funnel. So that's one aspect. That's 1 stone. The other stone is content. Why create content? Why take time to find content ideas, script content, record content to post it, where you can just go live and leverage the interactive features, talk to your audience, give them advice, help them, actually help people, provide real value. And then you can allow your team or somebody, which is much easier than you would think. I'm going to show you how later in this video. Allow them to extrapolate content and post that on YouTube or on Instagram, wherever you're trying to grow. That's the second bird. So with 1 action, with 1 stone, by live streaming, you allow yourself to get sales and to get content for later repurposing. And of course, that content as well would also be able to get you sales later on. This is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about leverage. And you've probably already seen some of the big entrepreneurs in the space starting to use this approach because it is much more time effective. And by the way, that's why they have so much content to post. You probably, if you think about it, you don't think the biggest entrepreneurs, the ones with millions of followers in these massive personal brands, are out here creating Instagram Reels, TikToks, or maybe even YouTube videos most of the time. They're going on podcasts, they're live streaming, they're doing live Q&As, they're doing seminars, they're doing other things that will allow, and then they take that content. So that's the second bird. They take that content and then they let the team leverage it to post it. That's leverage. They're not creating content. They don't have time for that. But you're creating content, and that's why you're struggling to keep up. And this is a pretty simple strategy, even though it sounds maybe a little bit complicated. But I'm going to show you exactly how to use this, whatever level you might be at. So now I'm going to give you 3 steps, and if you follow these, you probably won't ever have to create any content again. The first step is preparation. You have to ask yourself, what are you optimizing for? You have to know this before you start going live, because otherwise live content won't do you any good. You won't get any sales from it, and you probably won't get any good content for it afterwards for later repurposing. In this video, we're going to focus more on the content side, because I already have videos about how to get sales from your live stream. So what are you optimizing for in terms of content? Let's say the answer right here is Instagram Reels. You want as many Reels as possible, so you don't have to create any, but you can just leverage the moments that happen in your live stream in order to have the Reels that you want. So you have to make a plan for how to get as many Reels as possible. If you have a relatively big audience, if people actually show up live and then they see you as an authority, they'll just ask you questions. You will have enough topics to cover in order to go live for 30 minutes to an hour and have probably, if you're only focusing on short form content, you can probably have 30 or more Reels or so from that 1 hour live stream. Because with Reels, what you want is a bunch of topics, a bunch of problems that you can solve. Enter a problem solver mindset. And you know this, if you're like a coach, if you're an expert, if you have something, you're probably solving a problem for your audience. You're providing them with a transformation. And you know, when they ask you a question, and you know this from working with your clients, you can give them a solution to that question pretty quick, pretty easily, the next 45 seconds without needing a script, because you know what you're talking about. Apply that same mindset to your live streams. So if you have a big audience and people will show up live, you can just answer questions. If you don't really have, or you're unsure, if you've never done it before, prepare questions beforehand. Just write down questions in your notes and just take those questions with you live. And then you just tell people, hey, I'm going to help you. I'm going to tell you how to do. And then you just present the question. And then you give people the advice. And then you don't have to worry about being so perfect with your answer. You just give people the solution as you would with a normal coaching call. And then you can have somebody else go in and take that content and turn it into a more polished reel. And that will also give you that more authentic feeling to your content. If you ever wondered how those big personal brands, the people that most people look up to in terms of trustworthiness, and they don't seem like they're trying to sell you every time, and they seem like they have the real authority. The reason for that being is that what you see on their Instagram, most of the time is content leverage from live streams, from podcast ones, from different areas. 2 birds, 1 stone, right? They didn't make that. They didn't go in and say, let me come up with 3 pieces of advice so I can make a CTA at the end of it and get some DMs. So that's why it doesn't feel like that. That's why it feels more authentic. So if you do the same thing, you'll get that same results. Now, the second aspect after preparation is execution. Here you have to decide the format in which you're going live and also what platform you're going live on. And when I say format, what I'm really talking about is the thing that I'm doing right here. So this is a format, the little I'm drawing and I'm talking, it's a virtual whiteboard format, let's call it that. You can also just do straight talking head and just go live like this. And you just have the chat, you have the questions, or if you have your prepared questions, you have them right there. Keep it simple is what I would say, especially if you're kind of new to this. Simple beats complex. I have a setup which is a little bit more complex, but it's not that difficult, to be honest, especially when you get used to it. But I like it because I have this thing that I can kind of explore my mind with and kind of illustrate what I'm thinking. And it also allows me to keep it entertaining, both for the actual live, but also for the videos that comes after, without having to do a lot of edits. I don't like too much edits on my content. If you want to do the same, you don't have to follow the exact same format as me. Just think, how can I do something that's interactive, where I'm doing something is happening, or I'm interacting with the audience and it's happening in real time? That's what you're looking for. Second part of the execution is obviously choosing a platform. Now, you could do multi-streaming when you're streaming to different places, but like I just said, simple in the beginning is much better. If you're only focused on growing on Instagram, you may just go live on Instagram. I think going live on YouTube provides you with a little better experience, because the people who are watching a YouTube live are a little bit more invested, in my opinion, compared to the Instagram, who may just be there in a little bit of a different mindset. They were just scrolling, they saw you, they just clicked on it to see what it was like. They may not be as invested or as willing to learn whatever you're trying to teach on that actual live stream. But just choose a platform. Ideally, it would just be the platform where you have the biggest audience, or you're trying to grow the biggest audience. So if that's Instagram, if that's YouTube, you can live stream to YouTube and just still use that content for Instagram. You don't have to be on the platform you're trying to optimize for. Now, the third step is also pretty simple, maybe even the most simple, if you have a little bit of capital to work with. And this is the post-production. Because like we said, we want to knock two birds with one stone. So you want to go live and you want to get as many sales as you can from the live stream, but you're optimizing for Instagram Reels in this example. So you want to have as many Instagram Reels as possible after that. And that doesn't happen by itself. Somebody has to do it. If you are the business owner, ideally that's not you. So I'm going to give you two approaches right here. You can do this with a video editor. So what happens? You go live and then the editor goes in and takes that content, creates engaging, authentic Instagram Reels, and then maybe also post it for you. If you don't have a video editor, you should probably get one. If you're making any sort of money, they aren't as expensive as you would think they are. If you're making a couple grand, just a couple grand at least, you should be able to get a video editor from maybe someone else where that couple grand goes a little bit longer, because it will allow you to save so much time. Where, like I said, you want to do the least amount of actions to get the most amount of tasks completed. So by you just going live and somebody else takes those videos and edits and post them for you, you are winning. You have your time, focus, and energy. You can put that elsewhere. With the video editor, it's pretty simple. Just let them do the work. And you should have a content pipeline already to make it a little bit more simple, a workflow that works with your editor, where it's not like they're asking you for advice all the time. They're asking you, how do you want this video? You're doing tons of revisions. It should be a pretty, unless it's a new person, it should be a pretty streamlined approach where nothing much goes wrong and they just post it or they send it to you and it's ready for posting. So they do the work. I think that's pretty simple. It's more when you don't have video editors and you want to do things yourself. Now you could go ahead and take on the role of the video editor and just edit tons of reels. And if you are a good editor, maybe that's a solid approach, but I don't really like that approach from a time standpoint. What I would actually do is I would use AI tools. You know those AI clippers, Opus Clips, vidIQ, there's a ton of them. Use those to make at least rough edits. Post as many of them as possible on trial reels. Doesn't really matter if they're perfect or not. If you want to improve them a little bit, you can do so. But if you post all of them or most of them on trial reels, the audience, the market will decide which ones are the good ones. And then you take the good ones and then you edit the good ones, make them a little bit better. And then that's the ones that you post to your actual page. So now you're having both the AI content going out for trial reels and the good ones you can edit, or maybe even post them as it is and still get that content output without having to edit tons of videos. But ideally, you should be at this one as quick as possible. If you're a business owner, if you have any profit, put that towards giving yourself the time to not having to be doing, like, I was about to say stupid stuff. It's not stupid, but low leverage tasks like these. That's how you're going to be able to grow your business. If you want someone to take care of everything all the way from ideation to actually editing and posting the videos for you on Instagram, on YouTube, wherever you're trying to grow, there's a link to work with me and my team in the video description below. Now, if you just want to see how can I do this for myself and start making sales from live streams, you can watch this video now where I show you the exact system we use to guarantee our clients high ticket sales almost every time they go live, even from your first ever live stream. So go ahead and check it out.